Hey there, and welcome. You know that feeling when you wake up from a dream? You might not remember any of the details, but you can still feel its echo, right? That little bit of joy or fear or just that weird sense of wonder? Well, today we're going to dive into the incredible science behind those feelings to figure out what's really going on. And let's start with a mystery. I bet you've had a recurring nightmare, maybe one where you're being chased. But think about it. The specific kind of terror you feel, it's different every single time, isn't it? So why is that? What is your brain doing that makes every single dream, even a familiar one, feel completely unique? That's what we're going to unpack. So, first up, let's talk about that feeling of dream déjà vu. You know those reoccurring themes that just keep popping up when we're asleep? Being chased, showing up for a test you didn't study for, flying. A lot of us have them, but as it turns out, the stories themselves are way less important than the feelings they cook up. Let's take that classic being chased nightmare. You think it's all just about fear, right? But when researchers actually looked at it, they found it's a wild emotional cocktail. You've got this complex mix of failure, suspicion, and worry, but then, get this, sometimes there's even a wish for cooperation. So our brains aren't just playing some B-list horror movie. They're mixing up a very specific and often totally contradictory emotional potion. And this isn't just about scary dreams either. The research shows that even seemingly nice dreams, like ones about children, are packed with the exact same kind of complexity. You might feel supported and happy, right alongside feelings of loneliness and conflict. This emotional mix and match is a core feature of how our brains work when we're out for the night. Okay, so this emotional complexity, it's not random at all. In fact, it leads us to something pretty stunning, what scientists are calling the emotional fingerprint of a dream. This right here, this is the main finding from the research, and it is a big one. Just let that sink in for a second. Every single emotion you have ever felt in a dream was a completely singular, one-time-only event. That specific fear from last night's nightmare, you will never feel that exact same shade of fear ever again. So the takeaway here is massive. Your brain isn't just hitting replay on an old feeling. No, it's creating a brand new, custom-built version of it every single time. Every dream and every single emotion inside it has its own unique fingerprint, shaped by the crazy complex wiring of your brain in that very moment. So, how? How is that even possible? How does our brain manage to create these one-of-a-kind feelings night after night? Well, the answer lies in this really beautiful and complex idea, the brain's fractal network. A fractal-like network is basically one where a simple pattern repeats itself over and over, but with tiny little variations each time. Here's a cool way to think about it. Imagine a jazz musician playing a song you know. It's the same melody, but every night the notes, the rhythm, they're all improvised just a little bit, creating a totally unique performance. That's exactly what your brain is doing with emotions when you're asleep. So here's the play-by-play. First, something happens in your dream. You're being chased. Okay, that triggers specific networks in your brain to fire up. But here's the magic trick. The connections between those networks shift just a tiny, tiny bit. And those little changes in the wiring are what produce a brand new, never-before-felt variation of fear. It's incredible. Okay, so now that we get how a single, unique emotion is born, let's zoom out. Because there's also a bigger pattern here, an emotional arc that the dream itself goes on every single night. It's like a journey. The research suggests that a dream's emotional story often moves through time. It kicks off by pulling from your past, memories, old feelings. Then it shifts into the present, grappling with whatever challenges or stresses you're dealing with right now. And finally, it starts looking toward the future, trying to problem solve or just digest all those experiences to get you ready for the next day. But why does this amazing creative journey only happen at night? Well, it all comes down to one key difference. When you're awake, your brain is an open system. It's constantly getting new information from the outside world. But when you're asleep, your brain becomes a closed system. It's only got your existing memories and emotions to work with. That very limitation forces it to get creative, to forge these new, unique emotional pathways to process everything. So we've talked about the what and the how, but what about the why? Why does your brain go through all this trouble every single night? This brings us to what might be the most important takeaway of all. The bottom line is this: your dreams are not just random mental noise. They are a vital, absolutely fundamental process. They are the brain's workshop. This is where your brain goes to work every night, processing the day's stress, locking in your memories, and even running simulations for the future. It's your own personal nightly therapy and learning session, all powered by these unique emotional fingerprints. And that leaves us with a final question for you. The next time you wake up with that lingering feeling from a dream, don't just brush it off. Ask yourself, what kind of unique emotional journey did I just go on? And what problem was my amazing brain working so hard to solve for me while I slept?